name's Sunday Rose Kidman-Urban, and this is my first show.
When Nicole Kidman walked into Paris Fashion Week this October, no one was prepared for what they were about to see. The Hollywood icon, known for her timeless red carpet elegance, had transformed her look overnight, debuting sharp, stylish breakup bangs that sent social media into a frenzy. It wasn't just a new haircut that caught everyone's attention, it was the timing. This was her first major public appearance since the bombshell news of her split from Kidman-Urban. Cameras flashed as she arrived at the Chanel runway show, effortlessly chic in a crisp white button-down and jeans, flanked by her two daughters. The moment was more than just a fashion statement, it was a message for nearly 2 decades. Nicole and Keith were Hollywood's golden couple, their love story unfolding under the world's spotlight. But on this day, Nicole stood alone, calm, radiant and undeniably in control. Fans online called it her power era, while headlines dubbed it the breakup bang debut. The quiet confidence in her walk suggested that this wasn't just about a haircut. It was the beginning of a new chapter, one that no one saw coming. And beneath the surface of that perfectly cut fringe was a story that had been building for months. A story the world was only starting to piece together long before the headlines, before the breakup bangs and the Fashion Week spotlight. Nicole Kidman and Kidman-Urban were the picture of a perfect love story. Their paths crossed in 2005 at a G-Day USA event, a celebration of Australian talent in Hollywood. She was an Oscar-winning actress. He was a rising country music star with a smooth voice and a magnetic stage presence. From the outside, it looked like a storybook romance, the kind that Hollywood rarely sees anymore. They married the following year, in June 2006, in a candlelit ceremony at a church in Sydney, intimate, elegant, and deeply emotional. The couple seemed inseparable. Red carpets became their shared stage, with Keith often gazing at Nicole like she was the only person in the room. Interviews over the years were sprinkled with affectionate moments, Keith calling her his life, Nicole describing their bond as profoundly grounding. Together, they built not just a marriage but a public image of stability, warmth, and glamour. As their careers soared, their family grew. They welcomed Sunday Rose in 2008 and Faith Margaret in 2010, raising their daughters between Nashville and international film sets. Unlike many celebrity couples, they projected an aura of unshakable unity. Their anniversary posts, their gentle displays of affection, and their rare but meaningful interviews painted the picture of a couple that had found something real in a world often built on appearances. For nearly 2 decades, they became Hollywood's golden couple, admired not just for their individual talent, but for how they stood together through the chaos of fame. But what the public didn't see was how, over time, the foundation beneath that golden image slowly began to shift. But even the most picture-perfect stories can hide quiet fractures beneath the surface. For Nicole and Keith, those first visible cracks began to appear long before the headlines ever caught on. According to reports, the couple had been living apart since the beginning of the summer, a detail that only surfaced after the divorce filing. While their public image remained polished, subtle signs suggested that something had changed behind closed doors. Their last major public appearance together was at the FIFA Club World Cup in Nashville. On the surface, everything seemed normal, smiles, laughter, and cameras flashing as they celebrated the event. But soon after, their public outings together became noticeably rare. And when June came around, marking 19 years of marriage, fans expected a grand celebration. Instead, Nicole quietly posted a throwback photo of the two with the caption, "Happy anniversary, baby." Keith responded with a simple heart emoji, and nothing more. It was a small detail, but for longtime followers of the couple, it felt different. As summer unfolded, Nicole's social media painted a new picture, traveling with her teenage daughters, sharing warm summer memories, and focusing on family moments. But Keith was nowhere to be seen in those posts. There were no couple selfies, no shared-term moments, no spontaneous appearances. The silence between their usually synchronized public lives spoke louder than any official statement. Even their eldest daughter, Sunday Rose, gave a glimpse into the household dynamic in a nylon interview. She mentioned the 2 big rules at home: no fashion work until 16, and school always coming first. It sounded strict but loving, a glimpse of a family with clear boundaries. Yet between the lines, fans sensed a shift. Nicole seemed more focused on the girls and her own projects. While Keith was absorbed in his music career, it wasn't dramatic. There were no explosive public fights or scandalous headlines, just a growing distance, quiet and steady. A summer lived in parallel worlds, and that distance would soon culminate in a decision that stunned everyone watching. Then, on September 29th, the quiet whispers turned into a headline that no one expected to read. After nearly 2 decades together, Nicole Kidman and Keith-Urban's split was confirmed, sending shockwaves through Hollywood and beyond. TMZ was the first to break the news, citing sources who revealed that the couple had been living apart since early summer. By the next day, September 30th, Nicole officially filed for divorce in Los Angeles. Citing irreconcilable differences, the filing didn't just confirm the separation. It revealed a decisive move. Nicole requested primary residential custody of their two teenage daughters, Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret. The decision underscored that this wasn't a vague "we're figuring things out" moment. It was clear, deliberate, and final. Fans and media were stunned. This was a couple who had celebrated anniversaries, walked countless red carpets hand in hand, and built a reputation as one of the most solid partnerships in show business. And yet, the papers were filed quietly, just 1 day after the story went public. It felt sudden, but in reality, it had been months in the making. Hidden behind carefully maintained smiles, a source close to the couple told People, Nicole is honoring her work commitments. As is Keith. On the surface, it sounded amicable, even professional. But behind the polished statements lay an undeniable truth. The fairy tale had reached its end, and while most stars retreat from the spotlight during a split, Nicole did something entirely different. Just days after the news broke, she stepped onto one of the biggest stages in fashion, not as someone hiding from headlines, but as someone redefining them. Just 6 days after the divorce filing, Nicole Kidman stepped into Paris Fashion Week like nothing could shake her. On October 6th, she made her first major public appearance since the split, and it was nothing short of a masterclass in quiet power. The event, Channel's runway show, one of the most exclusive and closely watched moments in the fashion calendar. And Nicole didn't just attend, she made sure every camera lens found her. She arrived wearing a crisp white button-down and jeans, an effortlessly cool combination that stood out among the sea of couture. But the outfit was only part of the statement. Her freshly cut breakup bangs framed her face with sharp precision, a look that screamed reinvention. This wasn't a woman retreating from the public eye. This was a woman taking control of the narrative. Nicole had just been named a Chanel ambassador, joining the elite circle of figures, chosen to represent one of the world's most powerful fashion houses. In her statement to WWD, she praised Chanel for shining a smart and gracious light on women and expressed her excitement to wear Matthew Blazy's upcoming creations. Her presence wasn't simply about clothes, it was a calculated re-entry into the spotlight, aligning herself with a brand synonymous with sophistication, independence, and timeless strength. And she wasn't alone. Sunday Rose and Faith Margaret walked alongside her, dressed in understated outfits that matched their mother's energy. It was a deliberate image, Nicole at the center, flanked by her daughters, united and composed. At a moment when most headlines were about heartbreak, she offered the world a different picture. Not of a woman unraveling, but of a mother, an icon standing tall. The timing couldn't have been more striking. Divorce papers had barely cooled, and already Nicole had repositioned herself on one of the most glamorous stages in the world. Fans flooded social media with reactions, some admiring the transformation, others dissecting the symbolism. Was this a simple fashion moment, or a declaration of independence wrapped in Chanel? Whatever the intention, the message landed. Nicole wasn't just moving on, she was leveling up. But while she commanded attention in Paris, someone else in the family was quietly stealing the spotlight in a different way. While Nicole was commanding attention at Chanel, another member of the Kidman-Urban family was stepping into her own spotlight, and doing it on one of fashion's biggest stages. Just days after the divorce filing, Sunday Rose Kidman-Urban, Nicole and Keith's 17-year-old daughter, returned to Paris Fashion Week, not as a spectator, but as a model in Dior's runway show. On October 1st, Sunday walked to Jonathan Anderson's highly anticipated debut collection for Dior, a moment the entire fashion industry was watching. Dressed in a shimmering silver blouse with a dramatic oversized bow and structured trousers, She carried herself with poise well beyond her years. Cameras didn't just capture a celebrity's daughter on the catwalk. They captured the emergence of a new fashion name. This wasn't Sunday's first time on the runway. She made her debut back in October 2024, walking for Miu Miu's Spring 2025 collection, and returned the following March for another show. In just a year, she's walked for Kite's SS26 collection, appeared at Calvin Klein, and made the rounds at New York Fashion Week. She's quickly becoming a familiar face on the circuit, moving from backstage curiosity to front row buzz. Backstage at Dior, Sunday spoke to Vogue with a confidence that surprised many. She admitted that she practiced her walk in the hallways at school, joking that she'd strut down to math class like it was a runway. But beneath the light-hearted comment was a sense of genuine ambition. "I definitely feel a lot more confident this time," she said, reflecting on how far she'd come since her debut. Her rise came at a moment when the world was watching her family more closely than ever. Divorce headlines dominated the news cycle, yet here was Sunday, composed, stylish, and making moves entirely on her own terms. For Nicole, it must have been a striking sight while she was stepping into a new era of her career. Her daughter was doing the same in an entirely different arena. The timing was almost poetic. As Nicole redefined herself in Channel's world, Sunday was carving out a space in Dior's. To generations, to runways, one pivotal moment. But while the fashion world was captivated by their parallel debuts, the media frenzy back home was just heating up. As Paris buzzed with fashion headlines, the story taking shape back home was far bigger than any runway moment. Nicole's bold reemergence at Chanel, Sunday's surprise return to the Dior catwalk, and the divorce filing, all of it unfolded within a single week. It was a perfect storm of personal drama and public spectacle, and the media wasted no time connecting the dots. Paparazzi shots of Nicole's sleek white shirt and freshly cut bangs were dissected, like clues in a mystery. Fashion analysts called it the breakup power move of the year, while tabloids zoomed in on her every expression, searching for hints of heartbreak or defiance. Meanwhile, clips of Sunday strutting the Dior runway went viral, with fans praising her confidence and elegance. Within days, the Kidman-Urban family had become the center of a global conversation, not just about a celebrity breakup, but about transformation, legacy, and image. Speculation ran wild. Why now, after 19 years? What really happened during that quiet summer apart? Was Nicole's Chanel ambassadorship a coincidence, or a carefully timed statement? Social media became a battleground of theories. Some fans saw a woman reclaiming her narrative. Others whispered about unspoken reasons behind the split. Every detail, from the lack of a joint statement to the order of public appearances, was treated like a puzzle piece. Keith-Urban, for his part, remained largely silent, focusing on his music commitments. His absence in the media spotlight only fueled more rumors. Was he blindsided? Was this planned? The unanswered questions kept the story alive day after day, driving clicks, comments, and endless TikTok breakdowns dot in the midst of this media frenzy. One thing became clear: Nicole Kidman was no longer just part of a couple. She was the main character of a cultural moment. Her image, her timing, her choices, they were all under the microscope. But behind the headlines and hashtags lay something deeper, a woman at a crossroads, closing one chapter while boldly stepping into another. And as the dust settled, one question lingered: what does this transformation mean for her legacy? Nicole Kidman has spent decades mastering the art of transformation. From her early days in Australia to her Oscar-winning performances, she's constantly evolved, on screen and off. But this chapter may be one of her most striking yet. Her Chanel debut, post-divorce, wasn't just a fashion statement. It was a declaration, a signal to the world that even in moments of personal upheaval, she remains gracefully in control, writing her story on her own terms. Her decision to step into the spotlight so soon after filing for divorce reveals something powerful. Nicole isn't retreating into silence or letting headlines define her. She's stepping forward, calmly, deliberately, and with the quiet confidence that has defined her career for decades. By aligning with Chanel, she has anchored herself to a brand known for elegance, strength, and reinvention. It's a calculated move that blends personal narrative with cultural symbolism, making her transition not just visible, but iconic. Meanwhile, Sunday Rose's sudden rise in the fashion world mirrors a new era for the family. As Nicole steps into her power, her daughter is forging her own identity. Not as Nicole Kidman's daughter, but as a legitimate force on the runway. It's a rare, almost cinematic moment to generations, both making bold moves in the public eye. Side by side, but on separate stages, and yet, beneath the glamour and headlines, questions remain. What truly happened over that quiet summer? How long had the distance been growing? Why now, after 19 years? These are questions only Nicole and Keith fully know. But in a way, the mystery has become part of the story. It's what keeps fans theorizing, media spinning, and audiences watching. In the end, Nicole's breakup bangs weren't just a change in hairstyle. They were the first visible crack in the old image, and the opening scene of something entirely new. Whether this next chapter focuses on fashion, film, or something else entirely, one thing is clear: Nicole Kidman isn't stepping back. She's stepping into a legacy she's still writing, and as the cameras fade and the headlines cool, one can't help but wonder, is this the end of a love story? Or simply the beginning of Nicole Kidman's most powerful reinvention yet?